The suitcase was heavier than it should have been. When she bent down and gripped the handle, her knuckles turned stark white, the tendons straining beneath her skin as she nearly lost her balance. That single unguarded flicker of surprise that shattered her carefully curated composure made every hour I'd spent preparing for this weekend worth it. "Oh, wow. Did you pack rocks in here?" She laughed, forced and brittle, like glass ready to splinter. Her eyes darted up to mine, testing for a reaction, probing for the slightest twitch of suspicion. I met her gaze with a flat expression and a shrug, my face unreadable. "You got everything you need in there?" I asked evenly, my tone neutral to the point of being sterile. "It's a special trip, after all." She paused, lips parting for a moment before curling into one of those two perfect smiles I'd come to hate. Polished, practiced, hollow. "You're so thoughtful," she said sweetly, pressing her lips to my cheek. Cold, distant. Her affection had become mechanical long ago. I watched as she rolled the suitcase toward the front door, its small wheels squeaking beneath the unnecessary weight. Only once her car vanished down the street did I exhale, my lungs burning from the stillness I'd held. Showtime. Her name was Amanda. We'd been married 8 years, together for 10. And for the longest time, I would have said we were happy, maybe not exciting, but steady. Solid. We had our rituals, our shared dreams. At least, I thought we did. All that shattered 3 months ago. It was late. She'd just gone upstairs for a shower, leaving her phone on the kitchen counter. Screen up. I hadn't gone digging for anything. I never had. But the screen lit up on its own. A single message, innocuous at first glance, but enough to hollow me out. "Can't wait to see you this weekend. Miss you like crazy. Brent." The name punched through my chest like a fist. We didn't know a Brent. No family, no friend by that name. No mention of a Brent at her office. Not once. My gut twisted. Something in me knew. But I didn't confront her, not then. I've lived long enough to understand that confronting a lie without proof only leads to a more convincing lie. So I waited, and I watched. I played dumb while the truth revealed itself, one crack at a time. In the weeks that followed, I became an actor in a play she didn't know she was performing. I smiled. I kissed her goodbye. I asked about her day. And meanwhile, behind the curtain, I installed a keylogger on her laptop, monitored her messages, watched her late-night chats with Bloom in real time. I followed her once. Just once. She said she had to stay late at work. I trailed behind and saw her car parked outside an upscale hotel downtown. Subtle wasn't her strong suit. I planted a GPS tracker under her car the next morning. Every lie, "I love you," she whispered as she slipped out the door to see him. It all became fuel, a quiet, burning fire behind my ribs. But still I said nothing, because she thought she had control. She thought she was the puppeteer. She didn't realize the strings were in my hands, and I was about to cut them. When she announced her girls' weekend, I almost laughed out loud. The story was too weak now. Her friends were suddenly busy, unavailable, yet she was going anyway. Vague plans, change dates, a faint whiff of cologne I didn't own on her blouse. I nodded along. "You deserve a break," I told her. "I've got a few projects around the house to keep me busy." She beamed at me like I was the prize. The audacity. She packed the nicest clothes she owned, clothes she hadn't worn for me in years. Meanwhile, I packed my own suitcase, not with clothes. Mine was filled with weapons, paper ones, printed screenshots, emails, hotel receipts, dates, times, a perfectly cataloged dossier of betrayal. I knew where Brent lived, some high-rise condo across the city. I'd scouted it more times than I could count. Predictably opulent. He was everything you'd expect. Late 30s, designer watch, easy smile that probably never once considered the husband of the woman he was screwing. A man drunk on his own reflection. Amanda's car was already parked outside when I arrived, crooked in her haste to get to him. I waited down the street for an hour, giving them time to get comfortable. Then I grabbed my bag and walked up to the door, steady as stone, and knocked. The door opened. Brent. His expression shifted instantly. That polished charm drained from his face like wine spilling on white linen. "Can I help you?" he asked, voice tight with unease. "Oh, I think you can," I replied, stepping forward. He moved to close the door. I didn't let him. My shoulder met the wood with force, and I was inside before he could react. "Sit down, Brent," I snapped. "You and I need to have a conversation." Amanda appeared from the hallway, draped in a robe she hadn't worn at home in years. Her face turned to chalk the moment she saw me. "Mark," her voice barely carried. "What are you doing here?" I didn't even look at her. My eyes stayed locked on him. "You know who I am, right?" He swallowed hard. "I think you should leave." I let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, I'll leave. But first, story time." I pulled the stack of papers from my bag and tossed them onto the coffee table. Screenshots, photos, messages, evidence, heavy and undeniable, scattered like shattered glass. Brent's eyes darted from page to page, then to Amanda, then back to me. Amanda stepped forward. "Mark, please, can we talk about this privately?" "Privately?" I turned on her, my voice sharp and venomous. "Now you want privacy? You didn't seem to care much for that when you were on your back in a hotel room." She flinched, and for a moment her bravado collapsed entirely. Tears welled in her eyes. "You don't get to cry," I hissed. "You made your choices. Now you get to live with them." Brent sat frozen, color draining from his face. I looked at him. "How does it feel, Brent?" I asked coldly. "Knowing it's over? Knowing your little fantasy life just shattered?" He opened his mouth to explain, to deflect, to apologize. "Save it." I cut him off. "I'm not interested in your excuses. But your wife might be." He paled. "What?" "Oh, yeah," I said. "I found her. Lovely woman. Sweet. Honest. I'm sure she'll love knowing who she married." Amanda stepped toward me again. "Mark, please, don't do this." I turned to her, my voice ice. "You should have thought of that before. Before the lies. Before the months of betrayal." I shouldered my bag and walked to the door. But just before I left, I turned one last time to Brent. "If you ever come near my wife again," I said with quiet finality, "I'll make sure everyone at your company knows exactly what kind of man you are." Then I walked out. The silence behind me was deafening. The fallout came fast. I mailed everything to Brent's wife the next morning. No drama. No insults. Just a man offering truth. "I'm sorry for the pain, but you deserve the truth." She filed for divorce within the week. Word spread through Brent's company like wildfire. He was quietly forced to resign. Amanda tried to spin apologies into something useful, to reclaim what she destroyed. I didn't care. The divorce papers were already signed. She left with only the things she could carry. And I didn't watch her go. None of it was easy. I won't pretend otherwise. There were days the silence was unbearable, the house too empty, the bed too cold. But slowly the ache dulled. The storm cleared, and one morning I stood in the middle of my quiet home, sunlight cutting across the hardwood floors, and realized something important. I had lost a wife, but I had gained something far more valuable: freedom, and the satisfaction of knowing that justice, cold, deliberate, and absolute, had been served.